remarks before we start.
Okay, that's fine. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairperson.
Yes.
May I address you shortly, Mr. Chairperson, just to put the following facts on record?
Yes.
I act for Ms. Mokonyane, and my instructions are as follows: that on Sunday, the 5th of July 2020, with her consent, there was an inspection in Laka at her home. That was then followed, as you're well aware, by her appearance before you in this commission on Monday, the 20th of July 2020. Subsequent to her appearance here in testimony, we were told and given a copy of a statement from Frederick Hendrik Coetzee that was dated the 22nd of July 2020, 2 days after her testimony. That was then followed by a letter that we received from the City Press on the 25th of July 2020, where they asked us to comment, or they asked Ms. Mokonyane to comment on the testimony of Mr. Coetzee that hadn't been presented as yet. We then sent, my attorneys of record sent a letter that was copied to the Commission, explaining that once again there'd been a security breach. On the Monday, the 28th of July 2020, my attorneys received the official Rule 33 notice of Mr. Coetzee's testimony. That was followed, if we can go forward then to August. On the 11th of August 2020, Ms. Gina Peters made a statement. We then received a letter from the Commission concerning the undertaking that we had given by the witness to provide information concerning her security upgrades on the 17th of August 2020, and that was followed by another Rule 33 notice on the 19th of August 2020 containing Ms. Gina Peters' testimony that she would be giving. On the 28th of August 2020, we obtained the SABC threat and risk assessment for Ms. Mokonyane's home that was conducted in April 2009. There was then also a request, and we made available the office bearer's benefits in line with Ministerial Handbook dated 29th of August 2014. I believe that was provided to us by Mr. Nixon, the investigator. We also had and made available the SABC security audit for Ms. Mokonyane's home that was dated September 2010. And then, as you are well aware, Mr. Chairperson, on the 1st of September 2020, Ms. Sandra Thomas, that's my client's former assistant, testified here. And then more recently, on the 2nd of September, Gina Peters testified. The reason why I'm sketching this background, Mr. Chairperson, is my client has cooperated, she's come back. She has very serious health concerns with comorbidities. This room's not conducive to her condition. And what happens is each time she testifies, there's a subsequent character assassination of her in the media, and there are leaks by the journalists. So the request from our client is twofold. Firstly, to have some finality. She has cooperated, will cooperate, but she wishes to reach some finality on this matter, and if need be, will provide other documentation or whatever else is required, but would ask to be excused after her testimony today. The second aspect, Mr. Chairperson, is that there's a request on behalf of my client in terms of Rule 3363 to apply to cross-examine Mr. Agrizi. We are aware that the rules say that there must be notification, then within 2 weeks of such notice we must apply in writing, and that you, Mr. Chairperson, have the discretion whether to grant or refuse that application. We will submit the written application and do so. I have omitted to mention, and I apologize, in the chronology that I was referring you to, a security report was compiled, and it was found as a fact that my client, Ms. Mokonyane's IP address had been hacked on the 29th and 30th of August from Pretoria. So there's a positive report of a hacking. So there is a security threat that she wants recorded in this regard, and that's why, with respect, she asks for finality as to her appearing here. Should further documentation that she may have be requested, she will provide it, but she asks to be excused after today, if she may, Mr. Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, and I assure this commission that we will be applying in writing for permission to cross-examine Mr. Agriti. Thank you, sir.
Okay, no, thank you. I just want to say say something on one or two things. One is one relates to the leaks of affidavits submitted to the Commission, to the media. This has been a problem for a long time for the Commission. It happened soon after the Commission had started. I directed that some investigation be conducted by our investigation team, which they did, and they submitted a report to me, which, if I recall correctly, couldn't pin down anybody within the Commission who could have leaked those affidavits to the media. As some of you may know, I've spoken very strongly, publicly, against the media. One, acting in breach of the regulations, publishing matters that they are not allowed to publish without seeking my permission. There was a time when they seemed to have listened, I think sometime last year, for quite some time. And then at a certain stage, some newspapers began or went back to this habit. I must say that as far as I know, a number of newspapers seem to respect the regulation and seem to have taken note of what I said. But I think there are just specific newspapers, and I think it's just one or two, or maybe three. I know which they are, which do this. We have been considering what to do apart from laying criminal charges. One of the things we have been considering is to withdraw their accreditation because for them to come to the venue of the hearing and be able to record and so on, they needed to be accredited, and we accredited a number of them in 2018. But it seems that if we withdrew their accreditation, that wouldn't really be anything, because they could still have access to everything that is happening in the commission. So it might not help much. So there's been difficulty with about 1, 2, or 3 newspapers. A lot of others, I don't want to brush all of them with the same brush, because my impression is that a lot of other newspapers respect the law, and they support this commission, and they have taken note of what I've said in the past. So when there was a leak with regard to Mr. Kutsi's affidavit, that was very unacceptable. So I just want you to know, and your client to know, that it's a matter we are very concerned about. It's unacceptable, but we just have 2 or 3 newspapers that continue to act in breach of the law. Yes, we haven't laid charges, but we have spoken very strongly, and there just seems to be a problem. I'm not saying that we will not lay charges. So far, we have not, because we have been hoping that they would come to their senses and stop this habit. So I just wanted to say that about that. And with regard to your client wishing to be excused, I have no reason to believe, as I speak now, that she would be needed to come back after today. Obviously, because investigations are continuing, one cannot give a guarantee. But I think that everything would be done to make sure that she doesn't have to come back unless there's really something serious. But also in terms of her health situation, what could be tried in the future in case she is needed is to have her give evidence via a video link so that she doesn't have to come to the venue. I have allowed that in regard to at least one witness who had a concern relating to COVID-19 and her age, his age and his health conditions. On certain conditions, we could do the same. That is, should it become necessary, that she makes herself available. But as things stand, and the legal team and the investigation team might have a different view because they are much closer to the investigation than I am. I get things much later. As far as I'm concerned, we would do everything we can to avoid having to come back unless it's really necessary. But in that event, consideration would be given to a video link so that she wouldn't have to come to the venue.
I thank you, Mr. Chairperson. In relation to the pursuit of the press, I know I agree with you with respect, Mr. Chairperson. In the beginning, there were 2 or 3 that weren't abiding, but of late, there's been a blatant disregard by one particular that I've already referred to, and my attorney and my client will be pursuing them. Yes. Because there's no doubt that they knew that they weren't entitled to, they were forewarned and still pursued. Yes, but I thank you for everything that you've said. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Please administer the oath of affirmation again. Thank you, Ms. Mokonyane, for coming back to the commission. Thank you.
Please state your full names for the record.
My name is Nomvula Mokonyane.
Do you have any objection to taking the prescribed oath?
No, I don't know.
Do you consider the oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes, I do.
Do you swear that the evidence will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Chair, it
If
seems as
the,
if,
if the transcribers didn't hear, the record will reflect that we did hear, that she was properly sworn in. Okay.
Chair, just before we start, can we just, one housekeeping exercise? Chair, you have in front of you BOSASA Bundle 1.
Yes.
Chair, if I can take you to page 56 of that bundle. Chair, you will notice after page 56, we've added about 34 pages of the transcript of the testimony of Mr. Agrizi. The reason for that, Chair, is that before that there was a transcript which was in very small font. So we've just added 34 pages which are nothing other than what is already in that bundle. I'm mentioning it just to put on record what is in this bundle now.
You must tell me from what page to what page.
It's after page 50.
Hang on. You must tell me from what page to what page the wrong pages, as it were, are to be found, and where the correct pages with the right font are to be found.
The
So
small
that's
font
important for
pages
the
are from page 48 to page 56.
Yes.
And
the
then
right ones?
the right ones are on 56.1 to 56.34.
To 56 point?
34.
Okay, so pages 56.1 to 56.34 are basically a legible version of pages 48 to page 56.
Yes,
Yes, okay, all right.
thank you. And then, Chair, we remember that Ms. Mokonyane, when she testified, her evidence and affidavits were contained in what was called Bundle B, Exhibit T20. What now we have done, we have now put her affidavit on T20.1. And this is the affidavit she,
On bundle T,
no, it's Exhibit T. Remember,
what
it's,
is the name of the bundle?
Chair, this is this should be continued as part of Bundle B. Remember, Bundle B is the bundle which contained her earlier testimony. That is the bundle I've just referred to, Bundle B.
Yes, but two files can't be the same bundle.
Then, Chair, this is the bundle that follows Bundle 1, wherein we had a number of affidavits. Then this should be then Bundle 2, if I understand how the bundling is done.
Let me see.
Remember, Chair, the last hearing on the BOSASA stream, the bundle we have was Bundle 01.
Okay, before we do that, I've been given what is marked Bundle B, which is supposed to have Exhibit T20 inside.
Yes, that is that contains the affidavit of Mrs. Mokonyane and other exhibits that went with that. That's the bundle we used in her last testimony.
Yes, okay. Is there anything you need to tell me about it or not really?
No, not really.
Okay. Which one do you want to tell me something about?
Is this exhibit T20.1? 20.1. The only reason, Chair, I'm referring you to that is,
Well, remember, the exhibit will be an affidavit or document. The file will be bundle something.
yes. Chair, because of the fact that the previous exhibits, the latest exhibits on our stream, they were contained in BOSASA Bundle 1. My suggestion then is that this should be then BOSASA Bundle 2,
Which one is that?
which is the one which contains Exhibit T20.1.
The one that is written on the spine, Exhibit T20.1.
Yes,
You propose that it should be called bundle what?
Bundle 02. BOSASA Bundle 02.
Okay.
Then, Chair, I will then refer to that bundle. But before I even get there, just as an opening remark, in bundle 1, there is T26, which contains the affidavit of Mr. Kutia.
Exhibit
And then-
T26 is actually the affidavit, isn't it?
Yes, it's the affidavit of Mr. Kutia.
Yeah.
And then in bundle 2, the bundle we have just marked, and then on what I will ask to be admitted as Exhibit 20.1 is the affidavit of Mrs. Mokonyane, wherein she responds to
Yeah, but you deal with
T26.
that after she has confirmed it, isn't it?
Yes, I'm merely orientating you, Chair, onto the documents that we have with us.
Yeah, okay. So those are the bundles we will be using.
Those are the bundles we'll be using, but
Has somebody explained to the witness the different bundles? Has somebody explained to the witness which bundle is what?
I did not, Chair, and I assume that the lawyers will explain to you, but what I will do, because they are small bundles, when we deal with them, I'll take the witness through them.
But they should be marked before we can start, just like mine.
The only
Bundle-
marking that needs
BOSASA
to,
bundle 2 must be marked,
my junior will help.
so that if we say BOSASA bundle 2, she knows which one. Somebody will just come and assist you, Ms. Mokonyane.
That's that one. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Mrs. Mokonyane, whilst you are on the bundle that has just been opened, can you turn to that bundle?
Bundle,
Which bundle has just been opened?
Bundle B,
bundle,
sorry, bundle 02.
BOSASA
one-
bundle 02.
Yes, the one it has just been marked.
yeah.
If you can turn to item 1 of that bundle, there is a document starting from page 1 to page 7. See the mark at the top? And then there in that document on page 7, there's a signature above the word deponent. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Now, do you confirm that this is your affidavit?
Yes, it is.
Chair, can this affidavit be admitted as Exhibit T 20.1?
Oh, I thought it was just a statement and not an affidavit. But I see that it is an affidavit. The affidavit of Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane, appearing at page 1 of BOSASA bundle 02, will be admitted and will be marked as exhibit. What exhibit?
T 20.1.
Exhibit T 20.1. Okay.
Now, Ms. Mokonyane, whilst we are on that affidavit, am I correct that the affidavit is in response to the affidavit of Mr. Kutsie?
Yes, it is. It is also on the basis of the reflections after his submission.
Yes. And is it
what was
also,
on-
and
And what was on,
Sorry, Ms.
Sorry.
Mokonyane, please face me. If you can.
yeah. This is better. Yes.
Sorry?
No, I'm saying I was using this.
Oh, okay, okay. No, that's fine. Are you comfortable? Okay, all right. Yes, Mr. Noshe, continue.
so you confirm that this was in response to the affidavit of Mr. Kutsie? And
I'm sorry? And to something about 702? Oh, okay, okay.
And your affidavit, the gist of your affidavit is that, firstly, before I get that, you read the affidavit of Mr. Kutsie. And you notice that Mr. Kutsie is the person, the owner of Victoria Guest House. Sorry, Chair, apparently there's a problem. Seems as if you might have to move. They can't hear with that, on that mic.
Is that so?
This one.
Yes, okay. Yes, please.
I think in order for you, move to the chair, yeah, so
Move
that,
to this chair.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's better.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
You confirm that you read the affidavit of Mr. Kutsie,
Yes, I did read the affidavit.
and you confirm that you read that he is the owner of Victorian Guest House, that is at A1 Tom Moller Street in West Village in Krugersdorp.
Yes, I read that.
And if I read your affidavit, and before that, you confirm that Mr. Kutsie said there was a birthday party held in your honor in that guest house.
I can confirm that, as I've said in my previous testimony here, that there has been several parties at that place and various meetings. And upon reading Mr. Kutsie's statement, I can then confirm that I went for a private dinner and not the break your leg birthday party that was said by Mr. Akritsi.
And in your statement, you do confirm that the party that Mr. Kutsia refers to did occur, but it was arranged by your husband. Is that correct?
I can confirm that there was that gala dinner. There was a dinner. It was not a party as it was said by Mr. Akritsi. And as I have said, it was a surprise thing that happened at the venue. And it was not a 50th birthday. Because in my previous assertions, I asserted that I've never had a 50th birthday at that particular venue, because that was the assertion by Mr. Akritsi, who later went out to change it in the public. And then also we read about the statement when it was out there in the public that in actual fact they were referring to the 40th.
I would like Mr. Noche, I'm sorry. I would like Ms. Mokonyane to tell me her reaction to this version by Mr. Kutsi about this gala dinner. Just in your own words, tell me how it came about as you understand it, as you set out in your affidavit, and then Mr. Noche can then follow up after that. I would like you to just say, this is how it came about as you state in your affidavit, in your own words.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I live in Crew as well. And that venue is one of the venues that are closer to where we live. And that, as I've said in my previous testimony here, that it has been used for several other activities. On this matter, that earlier on was referred to as my 50th birthday that I contested, the plan was to have a private dinner as the family. And indeed, we left home with an understanding that I'm going for a private dinner, something that we normally do with our birthdays when we would want first to have our own space. And we arrived at Victoria. They do provide dinner. They do provide, there's a restaurant there. And so upon arrival, then there were people. But interestingly, I couldn't, with the people that were around there, some are my friends that were there, I couldn't identify Mr. Agrisi there. I mean, he's white. I would have seen him. He would have been outstanding in the crowd. And it was a sit-down dinner. There were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's over a decade, Chair.
About 18 years or so ago.
Yes. There were people who spoke, and there was no speaker from BOSASA. There was no Agriti who spoke. And I then stood up and I thanked everybody. I thanked my family. I did also say this was indeed a surprise, and I never even knew anyone who has made any contribution, and that was it, and I left, and that is it. And hence I didn't deny that there has been parties there. My assertion previously has been on break your leg 50th party, which I've never had. My 50th party was about the journey of my life.
The number of people who were there on the day of the gala dinner, there have been, I think Mr. Kutsi said, ultimately it was about 180 or 174 people, although initially it was planned that it should be 80 people, then it moved up to 120. Is that number, does it sound more or less correct to you? You might not have counted the people, but if you hear that number, could it be that number?
Firstly, sorry, Chairperson.
Yeah.
Firstly, Chair, I got in there. There were people already, and when the lights were switched on, then people started singing happy birthday, and it was like I'm saying a sit-down dinner. And then from there, That was it. I didn't even count.
Yeah, you.
Yes,
You-
I wouldn't even know the size of the venue.
Yes,
If it will
yes,
take so many
yes.
people. And in many instances, when you go for our ANC or other parties and stuff, even there, I've never been the organizer. So if I had organized and I was asked who to invite, I would have known the number.
Yes, yes.
But I went out to go and have a dinner.
Yes, but you wouldn't take issue with that kind of number, or
I think I don't understand what would be the reason behind the number, but
Yes.
looking at what Mr. Kutsie had written, I think there's also a bit of confusion and exaggeration on his submissions, and it is up to the commission chair to really cross-examine him. I mean, I saw some of his receipts, and I saw the dates when the tables were supposed to be picked up, the additional drinks and all those things. I really think there's a bit of exaggeration. If it was a party, it would have been a different kind of a thing organized by Nomvula, or with my knowledge. But in this instance, I think the onus is upon him, and all I can say, Chair, is I really think some of his figures just are an exaggeration.
but you are able to admit that there were many people, but the number you can't say.
20 is many for that venue.
Yes.
20, 30 for that venue, depending on the seating arrangement.
Yes.
It has different sides.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that is it.
Mr. Nocha?
If I start just to check your evidence at the tail end, you're saying the venue could not contain more than 20. Is that your evidence?
I'm saying the venue has got the capacity to take 20, it can take more than 20, and it has different sides. It has
Yes.
different rooms and stuff.
And I'm sure you would confirm that Mr. Kutsie, it was in his interest to count the number of guests because he was going to charge about that.
He was not going to charge me, remember? So you
Yeah.
can't say he was going to charge me. He was going to charge the organizers, so I wouldn't know, and it is up to the host to deal with his clients and make sure that they pay him for what was actually spent.
Sorry, I'm sure you misunderstood me. I said it was in the interest of Mr. Kutsie to count the people because he was going to charge for how many people they came.
Yes, anyone, even the person who sells bread, counts how many loaves of bread and you must get your money back.
Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah.
And therefore you can't dispute Mr. Kutsie's evidence that there were 174 people who came. Can you?
I can count myself and those that were in my immediate, and I can't dispute what he had actually said.
Yes. And also you can't dispute that Mr. Kutsie says your 40th birthday was held there. You can't dispute that. You've just admitted it.
I'm saying the 40th dinner was held at the Victoria, as opposed to what Mr. Akriti said. It was my 50th, and there was no such theme as break your leg. Because there's hardly a stage, there's hardly a dance floor there that one could have danced to break a leg.
On
Actually-
a lighter note, Ms. Mokonyane, when I heard about that theme, I thought, well, maybe it was Lashumlens.
Yes, Chairperson, I thought it was Lahlumlens. I remember in some instances where we had danced and I could see you actually doing the bus stop dance. That is now part of the Jerusalem song. Eh?
Yes, okay, all right.
And actually, Mr. Kutsie confirmed that no one broke a leg that night on your 40th birthday. Now, Mrs. Mokonyane,
Come again?
I say Mr. Kutsie did confirm that no one broke a leg. No one broke a leg on your 40th birthday at Victoria House. So he confirmed that the party was not a break a leg because no one broke a leg.
Okay. Yes,
It's still on a lighter note.
Yes, but all I can confirm is that it was a sitting arrangement. It was, hence I keep saying, I've gone to parties to dance and have fun there. This was a dinner I was taken to, a surprise dinner, and it was a sitting arrangement.
And you say this was a surprise dinner, and you don't know who paid for it, do you?
No, I wouldn't know who paid for it because as I've said, it is a surprise.
So you can't dispute Mr. Kutsia's evidence that this was paid for by BOSASA?
I can't dispute who paid because if people organize a party for you, you never actually get to probe further. You appreciate. Like I'm saying, the strange thing is that there was no person who was on the program who came out. In fact, we didn't even have many people who were speaking. It was about eating because I was taken out to go and have a dinner for my birthday.
I may be mistaken, but maybe Mr. Kutsi didn't say how many speakers there were, but I do recall that he said the speeches took quite long, and that enabled them. That was kind of a blessing in disguise because they had planned for, I think, 120 people or 124.
120, Chair.
Yeah, 120 people, but on the day, 174 people, I think he said, arrived. So suddenly they had this catering challenge. What are we going to do? And he said that we only managed to deal with the situation because the speeches went for about 3 hours. That's what he said.
Hey, Angwas, I don't know that. I think, remember, I was not part of the preparation,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't know what was happening
Yes.
behind the scenes.
Yes, no, that's fine.
And you also won't dispute that the liquor, the intoxicating liquor, was sponsored by some liquor store in Krugersdorp. We can't dispute that.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if that is what, that was not my understanding of Mr. Akriz's or Mr. Kutsi's evidence, Mr. Noch. I may be wrong.
Chair,
I
it
was
was.
under the impression that he said it's BOSASA who paid for the liquor, but BOSASA bought it from some liquor store.
Yes, he says in his evidence that it was sponsored and supplied by the liquor store at the behest of BOSASA.
Yes, well, I'll have a look.
It's
My
on paragraph,
understanding-
it's on paragraph 14, Chair.
No, that's fine. You can put as you understand the position. And my understanding was that he made an arrangement. BOSASA requested that they should bring their own liquor, and he agreed to that. And he said, or they agreed to that because I think at that stage he was still running the place with his mom, his late mom. And he said they agreed, and it was for the first time in that guest house that they agreed that client should bring something from outside. And my understanding was that BOSASA went and bought the liquor and brought it.
Yes, Chair, you're correct in the sense that the liquor was not provided by the guest house, but was provided by the bottle store in Krugersdorp, and it was sponsored and supplied by the bottle store, but at the request of BOSASA.
Okay. Put it as you understand it. I haven't looked at it
Yes.
recently, but that was my understanding.
But you, Ms. Mokonyane, you wouldn't dispute that about the liquor from the bottle store.
I wouldn't even know whether there was that kind of an arrangement.
And he said also the liquor, there was so much liquor that it filled this entire garage at the guest house. You wouldn't dispute that.
I never went to the garage. I didn't see anything. I was a birthday girl. I was sitting on my table.
Yes. And he was also, according to his evidence, taken to your table and introduced to you.
I only saw Mr. Is it Kutia?
Mr. Kutsia,
Yes, I only saw Mr. Kutia when he was sitting on this chair.
he says he was introduced to you on the night. He was taken to your table.
I don't remember that.
And he confirms that Mr. Agrizi was at the venue, at the party.
I don't remember seeing Agrizi there.
Look, remembering the term I don't remember, it's a tricky one.
Yes.
Because when you say I don't remember, you're saying he could have been there, but I've forgotten.
He could have been in another room. He could have been somewhere else. He could have been number 174. I don't know.
So the high water mark of your evidence today is that Mr. Kutsie could have attended, but you can't remember. Mr. Agrizi could have attended the party.
I wouldn't want to assert that. It shouldn't be my burden to confirm that Agrizi came to the party. Honestly,
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, no, all you need to say, what you don't know, you don't know. It's what he says, and you say, if you know, you say, yes, I know that that is what happened. If you don't know, say you don't know.
yes.
All I'm putting to you, you're saying today, you don't deny that he was there, but you say you cannot remember. Is that your evidence?
I don't remember seeing him.
But you don't deny that he could have been there.
I wouldn't want to commit myself and say he was there.
Yes.
Surely there would be
Yes.
pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to commit myself. And by the way, I have no personal relationship with Agrizi.
I see. Now, let's,
Well, Mr. Mush, I see, I think you said paragraph 14 of Mr. Kutsi's affidavit,
yes,
where it says all beers, hard liquor, and soft drinks for the event was sponsored and supplied from a liquor store. No, I think that it says from rather than by
I see.
a liquor store on Albertina Sisulu Road. I don't know if you said by, but I understood the impression I got was as if they
Donated.
provided it at their own expense.
No, Chair, hence,
That's not, yeah.
hence I said at the behest of,
Yes,
of BOSASA.
yes, okay, all right.
No, Chair, sorry, I don't know, Mr. Mokonyane, I'm not saying the liquor store were the people who did it freely. It's BOSASA who brought the liquor to the party. You can't dispute that.
I don't know.
Now, in your evidence, last time when you testified, we dealt with this issue. And you said your birthday party was never held at this place. You said no birthday party of yours was held at this place. Why did you say that?
I said that, as I've said, Chair, it's over a decade ago. And what attracted my attention were the assertions made by Mr. Agrizi about a 50th birthday with a theme Break Your Leg held at the Victorian Guest House. I'm sure, and I want to submit here, that had Mr. Agrizi said it was a 40th, because you can see as the statement goes further down, I did say that there has been many parties. I've never disputed not knowing that place, and the main issue on my side, that was my own focus, was the issue of my 50th birthday. So I enhance in my affidavit now that Mr. Noche has and you have, Chair, I do say this is what I recall as one of those dinners that I had actually had, which was a surprise private dinner, supposed to be a surprise private dinner, and it ended up being a matter of this magnitude.
Now, what jogged your memory about your birthday party at that venue?
What made me to recall was when, after this testimony here, that now the story was by Agrizi outside in the media, or whoever has leaked, now no longer about the 50th, but about the 40th. So that made me to sit back and reflect.
I see. Now, you remember when you testified, you said your 50th birthday was not held at that place. You remember that?
Yeah, the 50th, yes.
And then you were asked whether any of your birthday parties were held at that place, and you said no.
Yes, Chair. I think, as I've said, I was reaffirming the issue about the 50th birthday, and hence when I now got to hear about the 40th, I then had to recall that in fact there was a dinner hosted at the Victorian Hotel.
Look, Mrs. Mokonyane, I don't want to be unfair to you. Let's not talk about in the air. And behind you, there is a volume called Exhibit T.
Yes.
Can you take that out? TA. You'll see that it's separated in numbers. Go to where it's separated with 3.
3.
Yes, please. And then there in 3, can you go to page, this is, just orientate you. This is the transcript of your evidence when you testified on the 20th of July. Okay. Now, can you turn to page 283? 283? Look at the red, there's a red, yeah, look at the red pagination. Are you there?
Yes. Yes, I am.
I will be able to follow. I've got too many files already here.
Oh, no, fine. Sure.
Yeah.
Now, Ms. Mokonyane, if you look, let's just start at, if you look at line 8, where it says chairperson, you see the number 10 on the side.
Yes, I see 10.
Just go up 2 lines, chairperson. You see that?
Chairperson intervenes.
Yes. Yeah. It says 1 second before you, that is not the venue where your birthday party was held. And then you say no. Then the chairperson says, you follow me?
Yes, I am.
Then the chairperson says this, yes. Says the venue was at Silver Star and it is a known place. It is on the road on N14. The chairperson says, yes, okay, thank you. And then Nocha, I suppose that's me. He says, but is there a party that was ever held at Victorian Guest House? And then you say, there has been many parties at that place. And then Nocha says, I say, I mean your party. You say, no. And then I said, you have never had a party there. He says, no. And then he says, you have never had a party called Break the Leg. He says, I've had a birthday party at Silver Star. A Break the Leg, no. And then, let's go down, I don't want to waste the time. Let's just go down to line 20, down the page on 284. And then I say, so I just want, this is I'm reading. So I just want you to confirm that you say there was no 50th birthday at Victoria Guest House, and you say that there was never your birthday party at Victoria Guest House, and you say no. And then over the page at 284, is that your evidence? And then you say, there has been other parties, but not my birthday. At that place, no. And you also want to confirm that at that place at Victoria Guest House, there was never your birthday paid by BOSASA. No. There was never that they paid and then indistinct and dropping your voice. And also there was no birthday party called Break the Leg. And no, not to my knowledge. Not my birthday party. Not Nomvula's birthday party. Not Nomvula's 50th birthday party.
Yes.
So here you said no birthday, you have never had a birthday party there.
Yes, Chairperson, I'm saying when we were dealing with this evidence, As you can see, the assertions that I have made there, with your permission, I think it's on 285, that there was never a break your leg party. I want to still agree. And that there was no 50th birthday party. I still want to agree. And in the assertions that on page 283, I did say there's been many parties at that place. I do concede that there has been many parties. And precisely because of the pressure and the insistence about my 50th birthday being at Victorian Guest House, all I could assert was it was not my birthday because I had not planned it. I could recall this 50th because I had planned it, and this one I had gone there for a dinner, and it turned out to be a dinner with many other people. So that's why then, post Mr. Kutsia's submission, we had to deposit the clarity around the issue of the guest house.
Now, when you testified, had you forgotten about the 40th birthday party?
When I testified, I was preoccupied by my 50th birthday because it was the one that was splashed everywhere. I've just had my other birthday before I came to the Zondo Commission, now recently. I've had many other birthdays lately, and I didn't even focus on them. I can't even think about them because my preparation, and I want to state here humbly, that my preoccupation was about the 50th birthday that was framed as break your leg, having happened at the Victorian Guest House. And I want to formally indicate that, yes.
I understand. But also your preoccupation was about a party held at Victorian Guest House, am I right?
My preoccupation, yes, was about was about other parties at the Victorian Guest House, and hence I said I've been to, and there's been many other parties there at the Victorian Guest House. That was the assertion I made.
Then how could you?
Let her finish. Let her
And
finish.
the issue of my 40th birthday, in fact, Chair, I know other people take the 40th birthday as one of the main parties.
I was about to say,
But for my
for
reason
many
and
people,
yes.
a 40th birthday party is quite important.
But for me, that's why I can assert so much on the 50th, because it had a particular reason why it had to become my important birthday.
Mr. Nosh?
Then, but you remember that on that day when you testified, you remember there were other parties held at the Victoria Guest House, am I right?
I just said there were many other parties.
Held at Victoria
Yes,
Guest House.
I did. I did say there were many other parties that were held. And now, when the newspapers actually said, Agrizi actually now says he made a mistake, it was not the 50th. I had to also, like myself, I know he has come in with many statements to come and correct himself. I had to sit back and reflect and say, which of the parties I'm referring to have happened at the Victorian Guest House? And my memory then came in, and I remembered that it was the 40th and not the 50th.
Can you just tell the commission, did you have other birthday parties at Victoria Guest House other than your 40th?
My birthday parties,
Yes.
not to my recollection, no.
Okay. Now, can you just tell the commission this? You remember that there were other parties held at the Victoria Guest House?
Yes, I remember that there were other parties. Krugersdorp is a small town, and there are very few venues to host parties and stuff, and other than your private homes, and otherwise you have to go out of Krugersdorp to Johannesburg or just outside of Johannesburg. So Victorian Guest House is a known place that hosts parties.
And so there were other parties at the, you remembered when you testified that there were other parties held at Victoria Guest House.
I remembered, and hence I'm saying one of those then will be the 40th and not the 50th, as per what the assertion by Mr. Agrizi was talking about. And hence, upon this submission, I then had to sit back and think, which other thing happened at the Victorian Guest House? And again, Chair, because I'm now I have to even get reminded by other people to say, no, but there was this thing in that place, and there was this other event in that place. I've attended baby showers, I've attended after tears there, I've attended birthday parties there, I've attended political meetings there.
So, Mokonyane, can I just get this clear? On the day you testified, you remembered that there were other parties held at the Victoria Guest House, but you forgot that your birthday party was there.
Your 40th.
Your 40th birthday party was there.
I remembered that there were parties there. And precisely because, Chairperson, on that very night, that very afternoon, I was going out for a private dinner. And I must say, because it was never planned to be Nomvula going to a party, and until today, I can't attest how it ended up being a party, because there was a plan to say we're going out for dinner, we're going to have a few people joining us for dinner, and then we're coming back home. And it turned out to be the opposite, because then there were more people, and it was, as I said, as I came in, then everybody then said, surprise, surprise.
Mr. Noche?
Now, when you, after the party, you must have thanked your
Maybe
husband.
before that, because you're now going after to the period after the party. It does sound strange, Ms. Mokonyane, that when there is discussion of your 50th birthday party, which you remember was not held at that guest house, and you are asked whether there were any other birthday parties of yours that were held there, you do remember that there were certain parties, but not birthday parties, and yet you don't remember such an important birthday party for many people. You might say, for me, the 40th was not important. You don't remember that. So I think that's part of the point that Mr. Noche wanted to make. That
In fact,
it does sound strange. One would have thought that if you are talking about birthdays, your 40th and your 50th birthday parties must be quite important. And in terms of where they were held, if you do recall that other parties were held there, you would remember that, oh, my 40th birthday was there.
You know, Chair, because that one was planned to be a private dinner, I did have a party with my friends thereafter, which I know that it was organized
In the same venue?
No.
Or somewhere else?
Yes, like I'm saying, it was a bit small. We had a party in Rosebank with my friends, and that's where we partied. We had fun. And that's the memorable day I know of my 40th.
Of course, the other one.
I think I've had, I even had a mass dedicated to my turning 40, so.
Yes, yes.
And as I'm saying, the one that I know and I was aware of it is the one that was held in Rosebank sometime after that particular party.
Well, also, it does sound strange that Mr. Kutsi could remember your 40th birthday party at his guest house 18 years ago, but you can't remember your 40th birthday party.
It can sound strange because honestly speaking, that was not a party that I knew was going to happen. I was looking forward to my Saturday evening party with my friends in Rosebank and my family. Very small, intimate, and that is it. And hence, a bit of my memory, Chairperson, reminded me that there has been parties. So that on its own helped me to unpack which other parties have actually been held there. And I want to agree that therefore my submission after Mr. Kutsier actually confirmed that and if you read it, it was something that I didn't know. And I was not looking forward to having a party and a break your leg kind of
Yes.
wow that was actually being said.
What do you say to the proposition that precisely because you had been told about a private dinner, family dinner, that's what you were going to, precisely because of that, when you found out upon arrival at the venue that this was something much bigger than just a family dinner, it was such a surprise. That's a factor that should make it easy for you to remember, to say, you know, that party, I went there thinking it was just a private dinner, and my family surprised me with a big dinner, and that actually should make you remember that place for that surprise.
Actually, it's the opposite, because I wish I was well prepared for those crowds. And I wish I would have preferred a better place. I'm sure you saw even the decorations, black tablecloths and funny vases and stuff. But then if people have organized, and that was it. And I was looking forward to my weekend partying with my friends and appreciated the efforts that were made, and that was my response. If you ask me about what I remember about my 40th,
I think you don't like surprises.
I don't like surprises because they lead to this. Sometimes they lead to these kind of things, but in life they are. I've been surprised so many times. I've had a husband who'd always go and do extraordinary things to surprise me. I've had friends. I've got a friend that I've grown up with from the age of 13 until today. You know my age because everything about me is now public. She just decided to wake up and come and join me here today.
Yes.
And that's the reality of me.
Yes.
There are those surprises I can't avoid. I do get surprise activities organized in my name, and I also do organize surprise things for my own friends.
Okay, all right. Mr. Nocha, I'll let you continue, but I think we should take the tea break now. Or do you want to follow up for 5 minutes?
Just to follow up
Okay,
and
all
wrap
right.
up this issue.
Okay.
Mr. Mokonyane, isn't that so? That is exactly why this should have remained in your memory. That it was a surprise dinner, whether, as you say, you were disappointed by the venue, that would have stuck out in your memory that my 40th birthday was a surprise, but it was the venue I would not have chosen. Is that not so?
I was looking forward to my 40th party with my friends in Rosebank, and I appreciated the efforts that were made on that particular day.
And the problem also we have is this. You have mentioned that there were parties not just parties, at Victoria Guest House. You said there were parties at Victoria Guest House,
Yes.
but not your party. Well,
I
how
said-
could you?
I said there were parties, and my accession chair, with humility, was based around what was splashed all over And my preoccupation was on my 50th birthday.
But you'll agree, and you've read the evidence, that we moved from your 50th and you asked for any other birthday party.
And I do see what is in the script, Chair, but I'm saying, in my mind and in my focus, I was contesting what was asserted as a fact, the break your leg 50th birthday. And hence, I have been able to then come in and say, there was a dinner that I was supposed to attend. It came across as a dinner. I went, and in that dinner, there were other people there, and there were people who stood up and spoke. I don't know whether they were part of the sponsors and everything, because those are friends and people I've grown up with in the township.
Do you agree with me that the evidence you gave that day, where you denied that there was a party at guest house, was misleading?
It wasn't misleading. Never was it my intention. Never has it been. And hence I've come and I've made this submission, having read first, before even getting the evidence from the commission, having read what was in the newspapers, and also having gone back home to recollect what happened when I turned 40. Who was there? How did things happen? It was not only the Rosebank party that I knew and had planned for it. There was also this event that was done together with the community of Kagiso, by the way. Yes, and Mansfield.
You only came out to correct this when the evidence of Mr. Kutie came out, confirming that there was a party, it was just, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And you only confirmed, you only corrected this when the evidence of Mr. Kutie came out, confirming that there was a party at that Victorian guest house, and it was a 40th birthday party.
I went home, I reflected on these matters, and I recalled that there was this, and upon reading what was in the media and verifying, I made this particular submission, yes.
And what you read was that the owner of the guest house confirmed that there was a party at your place.
Yes.
And when I leave this issue, before I leave the issue, when you went home after the party,
After my party.
after the 40th birthday party, this party, you must have thanked your husband. You must have thanked him, thanks for the surprise.
I thanked everybody, not just upon arrival at home. I thanked my family, I thanked my friends, I thanked the community, and everyone who was part of organizing this, something that I was supposed to just have as a very private thing. And that was it. I never thanked BOSASA because I never knew that BOSASA was part of it.
Did you ask your husband who had paid for this, for the party, for this 40th birthday party?
No, a simple thing is not even about who paid. It's how did this thing get organized. And the simple thing was, well, guys organized it and people felt they need to organize this thing for you around this area so that they can come and celebrate with you.
Is that what she said to you?
Yes.
And did you ask who the
You
guys
said
were?
she, you mean he.
Oh, sorry. You know my faults.
Yes, I know your faults, including mentioning my home address every time.
It's an essay.
On that note, let's take the tea break. Let's take the tea break.
Thank you.
We'll resume at 25 to 12. We adjourn.
truth be told, that's my third version. To say, I was preoccupied by this one, and I felt it would be important, and hence, I never denied ever being to that place. And I will never deny. The thing that I denied was my 50th birthday party hosted at the Victorian Guest House.
What do you say when somebody says, anyone who listened to Mr. Noche asking you those questions, and anyone who reads the transcript, you know, the part to which Mr. Noche referred you earlier, where he moved from asking about the 50th birthday party to asking about any other party and asking about any other birthday party. What do you say to somebody who says, but that was so clear, there is no way Ms. Mokonyane would not have heard that now Mr. Noche is not talking about the 50th birthday party. He has moved, he's talking about any other party and any other birthday party. When she responded and said no in regard to another birthday party and yes to other parties, she knew that her birthday party, 40th birthday party, was being included in terms of the question that says any other birthday party in that venue.
At that point, Chairperson, that's why I said, I know that there has been many other parties and many other functions, but not my 50th party. And that was my assertion.
Okay. Mr. Noche?
And you confirm, you didn't say there was my party there, it was my 40th, not my 50th.
You never asked me about my 40th party.
But what I'm saying is, you never said, there was no, my 50th was not there, it was my 40th. You didn't say that.
No, I was not asked about which other party. I said, I've not had my 50th, it was at another venue. And as I've said, Chair, the assertion and everybody, including today, the latest is a journalist from Newsroom who has sent questions just 2 days ago. 2 days ago. He's still asking me about Mr. Agrisi and Mr. Kutsie, his testimony about my 50th birthday being at the Victoria Guest House. So the preoccupation, everything, and I think even in my own mind, I was sitting here, Chair, refuting what was asserted. And hence, I never said I've never been to that place. I never said there's never been a party. And I've never said I don't know the Victorian Guest House. I was speaking in terms of clarifying that my 50th party was never organized there. But also the issue of who paid and what happened, I think it is not something that I was quite interested in, precisely because I've also been part of organizing surprise parties for other people, and you don't actually have to be telling everybody that so-and-so bought a bottle of water, so-and-so bought a bottle. You just say, friends, we are your friends who are organizing your 60th birthday, and that is it.
Mr. Noche?
I see. You say in your evidence today that BOSASA was not at your 40th birthday. How do you know that?
I didn't see anything branded BOSASA, and BOSASA is an institution, so I didn't see
Anybody from
a
BOSASA?
representative of BOSASA, because in the program there was nobody speaking on behalf of BOSASA.
I see. So, as you sit today, you cannot say BOSASA was not there. All you can say is you didn't see a branding, and no one spoke on behalf of BOSASA. Is that correct?
Nobody spoke on behalf of BOSASA. Nobody came to me and said, I'm here on behalf of BOSASA. And nobody actually spoke or even arranged anything as if it is coming from.
Well, let me put this to you, and Mr. Noche maybe was planning to do so, but maybe it's appropriate. I asked Mr. Kutsi quite specifically when he gave evidence here. I asked him the question, was Mr. Agrizi there? Oh, I think I did ask him, but he certainly said Mr. Agrizi was there. And I even had to ask, was Ms. Mokonyane there? Because I wanted to make sure that what he's talking about was your birthday party, because it couldn't be your birthday party without you being there. And he said, yes, she was there, and I was introduced to her personally. But he also said Mr. Agrizi was there. You said you didn't see Mr. Agrizi.
No, I don't remember. If he's mentioning those hundreds of names, of people, not names.
Yes, yes.
Of people.
Yeah, it would be easy not to see everybody.
Yes, and remember that facility is run by a white family. And Chair, it used to be run by a lady. There's a lady who used to run that facility.
Yeah, maybe it was her mom, because
I don't know. I
because
don't know
he
the
said
lady.
he was co-owning it with her mom until 2018, I think, when her mom passed away. Now he owns it alone.
Okay, yes. I don't know.
Yes, okay.
So it's between him and Agrizi as
Yeah.
to whether Agrizi was there.
Okay.
And Mr. Agrizi says Mr. Watson was also there.
Kevin was a funny.
Surely you would have seen Mr. Watson,
Yes,
because at least he is your friend, or he was your friend, isn't it?
yes.
Not, I know
He
you say
still
not
is.
Agrizi.
You know, I'm a
He still
Christian,
is,
so
yeah.
I still believe
Yes.
spiritually he's still my friend. Yes.
Yes. So, but are you saying he was not there? There's no way you would not have seen him. if
No, Kevin was not at the party. Ke-
Are you sure?
Chair, not to my memory. No.
Or was it because there were more than 120 people and he didn't come to a table perhaps?
Maybe, perhaps, I don't know.
But that would have been strange.
The only person who will know who was there will be, what do you call?
Mr. Kutsi?
Mr. Kutsi, because he knew that he's working with
Mr. Agrizi.
Mr. Agrizi.
And Mr. Agrizi will also know because he works with Mr. Gavin Kutse or Watson.
Yes.
But going back to the numbers, Mr. Kutsi has said ultimately there were 170,
Yes.
I think, people. Earlier on you were mentioning 20, but you were not saying there were only 20 people.
No, I was saying.
Yes. So, but what I want to establish is whether you have any issue about there having been so many people. Is that something that's an issue for you? Are you saying that there could not have been that many people? Or are you saying, look, if he says there were 170 people, that's what he says. I don't know. I did not count the number.
That's his assertion, Chair.
Yes,
That's his
yes,
assertion.
yes.
And,
Yes.
when you plan, if I plan an event, I know that I'm planning for so many people. I've invited so many people. Then I'll have a particular number that I will keep as a possibility of the
Yes.
unexpected and
Yes.
so on.
Yes.
So I was never near the planning of anything that
Yes,
happened
yes,
there. So
yes.
I don't know
Yeah.
how I can actually now say it is like that. I'm saying that place can take from 20 people. You can have a facility, a function there, and I don't know how they had planned for this because I was not part of their planning. So that is it. I don't know the numbers, Chair.
And I think you did say earlier on, but you must tell me if I misunderstood you when Mr. Noche asked you. You did say that you were not saying that that place could not take as many people as 170 people.
No, it can take, because it has a garden,
Yes, okay.
it has the rooms,
Yes, okay.
it has the little rooms that were like your
Yes.
breakaways and stuff.
Yes,
So
okay.
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Mr. Nocho?
And you do confirm that at that time, 2003, Mr. Watson was already your family, as you said, was already your friend, a good friend, and a friend of the family.
Mr. Watson, as I've said, has been a friend before, before 1990.
I see. Now, and therefore, you would have, if you had a party, it wouldn't be strange for him to attend such a party.
It wouldn't be if he was invited. I didn't invite anybody. I was invited and made to attend and appear. I didn't even see the guest list.
Now, you're saying your 50th was in 2013. The 50th now was in 2013, am I right? 50th
Yes, that's when I
birthday.
turned 50.
Beg your pardon?
That's when I turned 50.
And your 50th birthday was 2013.
Yeah.
What were you doing at that time? Where were you working?
I was the Premier of Gauteng at the time.
I see. Approximately how much were you earning?
My pay slip is there.
I can't hear you.
I can't recall how much I was earning, but I was earning a Premier's salary. If you need the numbers, I can give them to you.
I'm sorry, before you move, because I think you're moving away from the party, just to round off. On the 40th birthday gala dinner stroke party, did you say that you do know that the party was organized by your late husband, or did you say you don't know who organized it, or are you saying, as far as you know, it was organized by family and friends?
I left the house being the guest of my family,
Yes.
and I arrived at the party. And that dinner, then it came out that it was not just a family dinner. And I never actually came to know who actually organized. And that was it. The individuals involved.
I'm concerned about that, because if we accept as a fact that BOSASA paid for it, and Mr. Agrizi says it was Mr. Gavin Watson who instructed that the BOSASA should organize the party, or Agrizi should coordinate the party for you. I would think that your husband knew that BOSASA were the people who made it happen, or Mr. Gavin Watson was the person who was responsible for the party.
Chair, yeah, I wouldn't want to venture into that space and conclude, because organizing a party goes beyond just what happened inside. I know, as a matter of fact, there were people who came with taxis. With a taxi.
Yeah, with
because
taxis.
Not everybody can afford. With a taxi from Manzaville, with a taxi from Kagisho. And I know that those were some of the people who were organized, and I remember there was a guy who was a leader of the taxi association who also came, and part of the reason why he came to talk to me was to say, you know what, Mama Action, angeke sikhohlwe la siphuma khona today asina i-greyhound elokishini all because of you nathi sithe asilethe abantu bazobanawela. So I'm trying to indicate that I didn't ask for that information. It was when I spoke to some of the people and said, little young, little no, little taxi, and but the taxi bar file kumbi for a rate.
You see, my difficulty is I can't see how what seems to have been a very big birthday party could have been done for you without you and your husband knowing who paid for this party, this big party. One of you must have known. And if you say you didn't know because it was your birthday, they kept it as a surprise, logic says to me, then your late husband must have known that it was BOSASA. Is my logic problematic?
It may not be, it may be. He might have also been approached to say, listen, we're organizing this thing. Please secure Nomvula on that day. Make sure that you bring him along. You bring her along. I'm falling into not just things of him and her. Please make sure that you bring her along.
Yes, yes.
And that was it. And hence, from the
Yes.
morning was, Mohaitu, remember, we've got a date.
Yes.
And,
You see,
and that does it. And that was it.
you see, if one accepts the proposition that at least one of you knew that BOSASA paid for it,
Should
and
he-
if
he-
one, yes, yeah,
Yeah, maybe he may know.
yes,
He might have known.
yes, yes,
He might have not known.
yes,
All
yes.
I am saying is, I was requested not to, actually I was instructed not to commit.
Not to go anywhere,
Exactly. I was
Yeah.
instructed not to go anywhere,
yeah,
and we then drove and we arrived and
yeah. No, for now, I understand your part, not knowing for now. What I want to put to you is, if your husband knew that BOSASA had been so good to your family, they were responsible for this very big party, it is difficult for me to think that for about 16, 17 years, from 2003 up to the time he passed on, he would not have told you that Gavin Watson or BOSASA had paid for this wonderful party, particularly because Mr. Gavin Watson, as I understand, was a family friend, so that maybe you could thank him because he had made it possible.
when somebody says in a party, Chair, I want to thank everybody who has organized this event, and thanks for pulling things together, and you thank everyone, and that's what I did, and that was it. I said everyone who has organized, and like I'm saying, the only other thing was that I knew was there were people who were transported, and Praopa came out and said, you know what, Mama Action, it's all because we're doing this thing. So it means they were also part of making this thing to happen. So I had friends and everybody was saying, are you happy? And I said, yeah, but you surprised me. And that was it. But if it so happens that he knew, he would have known, and surely he wanted to keep it as a surprise to me.
No, but I'm talking about after. I can understand not telling you before the day, but I'm saying after the party has gone, I would have expected that at some stage he would tell you, by the way, I didn't pay a cent for that party, or maybe I paid only a little bit, but the real people who made it possible were BOSASA or it was Mr. Gavin Watson, so that you would know that those are the people who were so good to you, especially because Mr. Gavin Watson was a family friend. I'm saying I would expect that at some stage over the past 17 years or whatever before he passed
we
on.
never ventured into that.
He didn't.
No, we didn't.
Yes. Mr. Nocha.
I think what the chair is also trying to make it clear from you, Mrs. Mokonyane, is that you, your husband, or one of you knew that you didn't pay for the party. You or your husband?
We both knew that we didn't pay for the party because we knew that we didn't organize it.
Sorry, just repeat that.
I'm saying we didn't organize it. I was called, advised, and persuaded to come for a dinner, and we drove and we went to the place, and that is it. And that's all that I have now, Chair.
Did you say you both knew that the two of you did not organize the party or pay for the party?
No, I'm saying we both, from where I'm seated, we both went to the dinner.
Yeah.
We both had attended the dinner. But I, together with him, we've never spoken about who paid for this.
Ms. Mokonyane, is it correct that you have just said you both knew that you didn't pay for the party?
Yes, the thing that I'm saying, we're going out, I'm taking you out, and then we arrive there, and then you are told, no, Majita guys asked me that I must secure you, we must come to this supply. That's why when we entered, it was said supplies. Yes.
But you confirm that you have just said now, a few minutes ago, that you
Yes,
both
she
knew.
confirmed, yeah.
You both
I
knew.
have.
You both knew that you didn't pay for the party.
Yes.
Yes, she has confirmed. You see, it becomes more problematic for me if that is the position, because it's difficult for me to think that you could have a party that is as big as what Mr. Kutsi told me, how big it was, and that cost as much as what Mr. Kutsi estimated. I think he estimated that with the liquor that was brought into the guest house, the cost may have been about 80,000 rand or 70,000 rand in 2003, that you both would not have wanted to find out who is this person who has done such a good thing, such a party, for in his case, for my wife, you know, in your case, for me, that you would have not wanted to. It's just difficult to
It does come across as being very difficult, Chair. But as I'm saying, there were organizers behind the scenes. And surely there was an arrangement to say you keep it quiet, you don't share, and like I'm saying, I came to know about these others because I saw people coming from the township, and I asked them how they have come, and they said they were sponsored with a taxi from the taxi association.
Yes. I was under the impression when I read
And then
your affidavit.
when my husband actually then said to me, I wanted you not to be part of, I wanted you not to stay away from this event. Hence, I pleaded with you that we would want to have time with you as a family. And that was the arrangement, Chairperson.
I got the impression when I read your affidavit, the one that is responding to Mr. Kutsi's affidavit, that you were saying that
Which one is that?
you were under the impression that your late husband was the one who organized the birthday party and paid for it. You mentioned somewhere, you say, or paragraph 17, you say, my late husband was a successful businessman who could afford to pay for such an event.
Sorry, Chair, I think she's trying to find Mrs.
Oh, I'm
Mokonyane.
sorry.
Look at bundle 2, the small bundle. No, not that one, the small one, there's a small one with your affidavit,
Okay.
the one at the bottom. No, not that one. You can put that one behind you. Put that big one behind you, it's fine. When I put- Sure, that one.
Have you got the right one? I'm looking at paragraph 17.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, 17, my late husband was a successful businessman who could afford to pay for such an event. I always assumed that he had in fact done so. I was taken aback by this kind gesture, thanked him for everything that he had done in this regard, but never pertinently asked him whether he had paid for everything himself.
Yes, yes.
So you clearly say you never asked him specifically, but I understand what you say before that, that you assumed that he had been responsible for payment. Is that right?
That's exactly what I always
What you are
assumed
saying?
that he
Yes.
had. Yes.
Okay, all right. Mr. Noche?
Whilst we are in your affidavit, on paragraph 20, page 6, you say then the revelation that this was paid for by BOSASA you were not aware of it, and it now embarrasses you, correct?
Yes.
And you say it was inappropriate at the time, and I'm saying it's also inappropriate even now.
Yes.
Well, it's not being done now, Mr. Noche.
Now, what I'm saying is, it being then, now, it's still inappropriate that it was done.
Oh, okay.
Now, Mokonyane, if we move away from that and we're dealing with your 50th birthday party.
50th.
Yes. Now, I'm saying I've moved away from that. I'm dealing now with your 50th birthday party.
Why?
I'm saying we're dealing with that. You are saying it was in 2013, am I right? Yes. Now, you are saying at the time you were the premier, am I right? And at that time, is it correct, you were ending...
Are you moving away from the evidence and allegations made by Mr. Agrizi?
Yes.
Okay, I have something relating to Agrizi. You remember there was an allegation by Mr. Agrizi that BOSASA used to purchase groceries and liquor and meat for your family, I think especially during Christmas periods or December. You remember that evidence?
Yes, I remember.
Yes. My recollection is that you denied that evidence. Is my understanding correct?
It was, I didn't deny the acquisition.
Yes.
I denied the fact that that was meant for my family.
Yes, okay. One can always check my understanding, and it may be incorrect. My understanding was that you had denied, but you are saying, as you sit there, you don't deny that there were such groceries, but you are saying they were not for your family.
No, I don't deny, Chair.
Yes,
but they were
yes.
never meant for my family.
Your PA, Ms. Thomas, said her understanding was that, well, she also confirmed that groceries were organized and were delivered to your house. But she said her understanding was that they were meant for needy people in the community. Is that your understanding as well? Yes. Now, my difficulty, at least partly with that, is that when I look at the items that Mr. Agrizi said were bought, or at least some of them, don't appear to me to be the kind of items one would expect to buy and just give to needy people. Mr. Noche, where will I find Mr. Agrizi's affidavit where he itemizes?
It's on bundle B, the big bundle. This is the big one, Mrs. Mokonyane. Bundle B at page 08 of bundle B. Start from the beginning. Look at the red marking.
Maybe your junior could assist the witness, Mr. Noche. He itemizes he gives a list of those items at paragraph 22.3 of his first affidavit, page 8. Have they found it for you?
Yeah, got it. Okay. Yes.
Have they found the page for you?
Yes.
Yes, okay. He says in paragraph 22.3, subsequent thereto,
Which kind of marking?
subsequent thereto, towards the end of every year, in the previous paragraph, he refers to the period 2002 and 2003. So when he says subsequent thereto, he must be referring to subsequent to 2002 and 2003. He says subsequent thereto, towards the end of every year, I was tasked by Governor Watson to see to her family's Christmas needs, that is yourself. This would include, and he says approximately, 22.3.1, 120 cases of cold drinks, 22.3.2, 4 cases of high-quality whiskey, 22.3.3, 40 cases of mixed beer, 22.3.4, 8 lambs, 22.3.5, 12 cases of frozen chicken pieces, 22.3.6, 200 kg beef, in brackets, as well as various dry packs, and 22.3.7, numerous cases of premium brandy and especially alcohol. Now, I would have thought that he would, or BOSASA would have at least included items like rice and meal, sugar, cooking oil and such stuff, which is quite essential. But the impression I get, and I want you to comment on this, the impression I get is that this doesn't immediately present itself as, or at least some of the items, you know, especially for cases of high quality whiskey, and numerous cases of premium brandy and specialty alcohol, as something that one would buy for when one is helping people who really need basic needs. Is my thinking flawed?
It's very flawed, Chair.
Yes, tell me.
It's flawed because it moves from an assumption that it was only BOSASA that does this.
Sorry?
It moves from an assumption that it is only BOSASA that does these things for communities. And yet there were many other people that would also come to the party and make contributions of your samp, your maize, your rice, your beef, canned beef and stuff. So it was not only BOSASA that, and it is still not. As I'm talking to you, tomorrow I'm out dishing out blankets without BOSASA. So it is not. So it's a flawed assumption. They were contributing what was in their own offering. You know, when people say we want to go and give Abantu, you don't choose what they would give. And all these things will then be packed, and we would actually get everybody getting a bit and going home. Over and above that, we would even have a sit-down party in the community center for everybody. So your assumption is flawed. This is not the only thing that will come. Somebody brings blankets, the other person brings. Now recently there's something called instant porridge they bring, yes.
So you say it definitely was for the native
It has
people.
always been for.
Yes, yes. Now, one will have to check, I don't know, Mr. Noche, why I was under the impression that Ms. Mokonyane's evidence last time she was here didn't include her being part of groceries that were bought by BOSASA for distribution to the communities. Because at least now, I think that's the impression I'm getting, that as far as groceries for communities, you were part of that. Is that right?
Yes, we'll have a dinner, we'll have a lunch in the community center.
Yes.
And all these things,
Yes.
whoever is sponsoring will come in and make the donation.
Yes.
Share the evidence of Mrs. Mokonyane, because this issue we raised, we were checking whether perhaps stuff was delivered at her home, but for the community. But her evidence was that no such stuff was delivered at her home for the community. And then in addition to that, but Ms. Thomas says her stuff was delivered at her home, but was for the community.
Yes, yes.
Chair, I would want to indicate that I said most of the staff will go to the Kagiso Community Hall. It was only, I think, once or twice.
Yes, I think you said once, yeah.
Yes, once or twice, because the township, the community hall was under renovation. And hence, Ms. Thomas said it wouldn't even stay for a day because it had to go. So we used another venue that does not have a storage like the old Kagiso Hall.
But of course, she said she didn't speak on the basis of once. She spoke on the basis that it was for most of the years. Because I asked her the question, because she said she started working for you in 1999.
Yes.
And I said, well, from 1999 up to, I think, when Mr. Akrizi left BOSASA, I said, would you say that each year this is what would happen, or would you say most of the years?
It was not every year.
Yeah, that's what she said too. She said it was not every year. And I said, would you say it was most of the years? She said, yes, it was most of the years. Okay. So on her version, it was not once or twice. It was most of the years.
No,
I
it
just
was
want to
most of
highlight
the
that.
years. Yes, I take it she meant it was most of the years where they would make these kind of contributions. But delivering it at home, I think it was once or twice.
Yeah.
And it was now when, towards the end, because the Kagiso Hall was under renovation about two years back, or so, yes.
You see, the difference that I can make between her version and Mr. Grizz's version is that, well, Mr. Grizz says it was every year after 2002, 2003, okay? But Ms. Thomas says it was most of the years, not every year. But they agreed that there was delivery of groceries and parcels to your home. And then where they differ also is that Mr. Agrizi says it was for your family.
Yes.
Whereas Ms. Thomas says her understanding was that it was for the community.
Yes.
There are parts where their versions converge,
Yes.
and then there are parts where they differ.
Yes.
Okay.
It does happen even now, Chair. I think now with the lockdown, I've had donations being delivered at my house because of the community centers being closed. So hence I'm saying what I know, it can be once or twice. Because many a times when the things get distributed, it is on the night before we have the veterans and senior citizens lunch, so they must be there, and we used to have people who will then go and cook, and then young people who will pack them in the bags and stuff overnight, so that when they come, actually it used to be like the whole day, starting with breakfast, lunch, and then late lunch, and then everybody goes home, and we do the deliveries as well. For senior citizens, we'll have volunteers coming doing the deliveries.
The other part which I want to mention to you, and you might wish to comment on it, that seems to converge between the versions of Mr. Agrizi and Ms. Thomas, is that Mr. Agrizi said that he was instructed by Mr. Gavin Watson to set up a team that would, within BOSASA, that would take care of whatever issues arose in your home that needed to be fixed, which I guess would include maintenance issues. And he said, that is Mr. Agrizi, he said he did set up such a team, and it was headed by Mr. Richard Leroux. And he said, over time, Mr. Leroux would go and attend to problems that arose in your house. Ms. Thomas said there were a number of times when your late husband would call her when there was a problem in the house and ask her to ask Richard. He said he just knew him as Richard, to go and attend to the problem. And she said she didn't know then that this was Richard Leroux. He didn't know the surname. But I think afterwards she accepts that it's Richard Leroux. So there it appears that her evidence also corroborates to a certain extent what Mr. Agrizi said, namely there was a team, or maybe one person, maybe a team, that used to pay special attention whenever there were problems in the house that needed attention in the house. Do you want to comment on that, or you have no comment?
I wouldn't comment on it.
Yes.
Because at no point is there any reference to me being part of that arrangement. And at no point have I also interacted with him, Mr. Leroux.
Mr. Leroux.
And yes, and as I have stated before, my husband was responsible for the maintenance and the running of the house, and that was his responsibility.
You see, there may be some significance also in that.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, remember, Chair, part of what was my responsibility was not confined to one space or being at home and being available most of the time.
Yeah.
And hence,
Yeah.
as the father of the house,
Yeah.
my husband took responsibility, including even procuring the services of other people that I'm still using today.
Yeah.
The electricians and the
Yeah.
maintenance guys.
Now, Ms. Thomas also emphasized that most of the time, I think you would not be in the house because of your other, because of your work. So she did make that point. But there is also still something strange that there would be this person that your late husband knows whenever there's a problem in the house, I just call my wife's PA to get that person to come and fix things in the house. But he never tells you about this person. You never get to know about this person.
I don't know how frequent was that. And hence I'm saying I also know of the service providers who provided services to the house, professional, who continue even now to do that professional service in terms of electricians, in terms of plumbers, in terms of the maintenance guys, who finally gave us somebody who was doing the gardening and services at home, who then worked for us full time. So there were other people that I know who were actually rendering those services at a fee and who were paid by us.
It's the BOSASA ones that you didn't know.
No, not the BOSASA ones.
Yes. Well, in fairness to you, I must also go back to the question of the maintenance in the house and the repairs. Mr. Noche had said there is a letter from your attorneys that deals with the question, I think, of the installation of CCTV cameras. He will deal with that. But I want to go back to Mr. Akrizi's evidence and Mr. Leroux's evidence, which was that maintenance issues were dealt with by BOSASA or contractors who would be paid for by BOSASA in the house. They had said, if I recall correctly, that the CCTV cameras were also installed by BOSASA or a contractor contracted by BOSASA. My recollection, and you must just tell me if my recollection is not correct, my recollection was that when you gave evidence, when you started giving evidence last time, you denied all of that. You said, no, it didn't happen. But, of course, there was the affidavit of Mr. Billion, then Mr. Chalderu, and there were invoices. And I think in the end, you came to a point where you say, look, I can't dispute that they did the work that they said they did, but all I'm saying is that I didn't request them to do it, and my husband was the one responsible for maintenance issues. I never knew about it, and he never told me anything about it. Is my recollection correct of your evidence?
I can't recall what was Mr. Billion about.
Mr. Billion was the contractor who employed Mr. Charles Leroux. And he said they attended to.
Is it here, Chair?
Yes, it is. I think let us look at Mr. Noche. You help us where to find it.
Just bear with me. Chair. Still in your...
Well, it may be that you didn't bring that particular file if you didn't intend to ask questions about it.
Chair, we'll find it. It's on T14 and T15. To also, Chair, to explain to Mrs. Mokonyane, it's Mr. Van Billion did not testify, but he gave an affidavit. But the person who testified, who had been employed by Mr. Van Billion, is, as the Chair says, Mr. Charles Leroux. But we'll find the affidavit.
I see Mr. Leroux on 148,
I beg your pardon.
not on 148.
Just bring the mic closer to
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Yes,
I see there's an affidavit of Mr. Leroux.
yes. Maybe what we should do, maybe we should park the issue. Let Mr. Noche ask you about other matters. In the meantime, his junior will look for the relevant pages, and then we can come back to it.
Yes.
Is that
Sure.
fine, Ms. Mokonyane?
Okay, let's deal with other issues around this, and then we'll find the affidavit of Mr. Van Billion. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. But the gist,
Yeah.
the gist of the issue, Mrs. Mokonyane, is in the end, you said the issue of repairs at your house, were handled by your husband.
Yes.
That's the issue.
Yes.
You still confirm that?
Yes.
But then you went on and you said the issue of security, the CCTVs, were installed by government. You recall that?
I said all security matters in my house, according to my knowledge, are done through government services.
And Ms. Mokonyane, when you left, you said you'll provide us with details of which government department provided the CCTV at your house.
We have written to the state. It is not even the department that one works for. It is always done through the offices of public works.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Mokonyane. Please bring the mic a little closer to you. You go closer to it. I didn't hear what you said. Just repeat it, please.
Yes, I said all security matters in my house were actually done by the state.
Ms. Mokonyane,
Yes.
as I was saying, when you left last time,
Yes.
you said you'll provide the commission with details of which department installed the CCTV at your house.
We wrote to the office of the Premier Chair.
And
Let her finish.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah,
sir.
let her
Yes,
finish, Ms. Mokonyane.
we wrote to the office of the Premier, and we asked for this information because for any provincial member of the Executive Council, this is the work that is being done through the office of the Premier.
And what was the response?
We received the response just day before yesterday, yes. And it's piles of documents that have been sent. And-
But sorry again.
Yes, does it confirm that the state did?
I've
or
not
does
gone through them.
Or you have not been
Yes.
able to go through
Yes.
them? Okay.
Your lawyers did go through them. It does not confirm that the state installed CCTVs at your house.
Are you asking me?
I'm putting it to you. Do you
No,
want to
I-
dispute that?
I'm not aware.
You have not checked them?
Yes,
You have
I'm
not read the
Yes,
documentation?
Chair, I'm honestly not aware.
Mm-hmm.
All I can tell is that we did receive the reports,
Mm-hmm.
and we did also state here that all matters related to security were actually handled by the state.
When there are security, when those security matters are handled by the state, wouldn't the member of the executive council, in the case of a province, would he or she not be required to sign some document?
No, I don't remember signing anything. No, it's done directly through the South African Police Services and the people responsible for security in government.
They don't require you to request it?
Interestingly, there are things that you would wish they don't do, but they work on the basis of the security risk. Honestly speaking, I've not been closer to that space.
But is the position that you are saying you saw CCTV cameras in your house and whatever other security features, and you assumed that they were provided by the state? Or are you saying you know for sure that they were provided by the state?
Chair, everything that has been put, including the butler doors and everything, as well as the access gate, and any other means of security, I've always assumed that it's the work of the state, and I've never asked.
Yes.
I've never asked, because they never even come to us. I remember when we started, some of us were actually quite reluctant to have some of the things that were put in our houses.
So as I understand it, your answer is you are not saying definitely the state provided, you are saying you assumed that the state had
Yes,
provided.
the state can be better placed to explain
Yes.
what they have been able to do at the
Yeah,
house.
okay. Mr. Nocho?
And is it correct that in your evidence last time, you didn't say you assumed, you said it as a fact? It was
Yes.
installed by the state?
Yes, I said the state provided all issues related to security.
Right, let's do it this way. Evidence of Mr. Grizi and Mr. Richard Leroux is to the effect that the CCTV was installed by BOSASA at your house. Can you dispute that?
I don't know of any installation done by BOSASA of any security measure in my house.
You can't dispute that.
I don't know.
And during break today, you were shown by your lawyers a letter from Department of Works, which they were given by me, to say that Department of Works did not install CCTVs at your house.
What you should also realize is that the department doesn't have any records of a formal request for security measures in the private residence of Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane, either by the Gauteng Department, the Gauteng Office of the Premier, the Department of Infrastructure. As a standard practice, contributions towards security measures for premiers and MECs is administered by the province and not the National Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. However, should you need any further clarity, information on this matter, please feel free. I see this is coming from the National
Just
And-
place on record what you are reading, Ms.
Chair?
Mokonyane. Just place on record what you are reading from.
Ms. Mokonyane,
Just
let me help.
indicate it's a letter from who to whom.
Let me help, Chair.
Yeah.
Ms. Mokonyane, you are reading a letter
Yes.
dated 2nd of September. And the letter is from Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and is written to Ms. B. Shabalala,
Yes.
Acting Secretary of this commission.
Yes.
Chair, if I may inform you this, during the break, the tea break, we received this letter from Department of Works. Then I shared it with the lawyers of Mrs. Mokonyane. And hence they discussed it with her, hence she's reading it from it. And then,
Just read it again, because
Can
as
I
she
read
was
it again?
reading. Oh, okay, yeah, read it, let the witness read it, yeah.
Chair, I want to take, it says, the above-mentioned matter and your correspondence addressed to the head of the department dated 21st July 2020 refers. The department hereby apologizes for the late response on your request for information. The latter was due to changes in the department's management. I refer to paragraph 2 of your letter and responses as follows. The department does not have any records of a formal request for security measures in the private residence of Ms. Mokonyane, either by the Gauteng Housing Development, the Gauteng Office of the Premier, the Department of Infrastructure Development, the Department of Water and Sanitation, or by herself. Then paragraph 2 says, as a standard practice, contributions towards security measures for premiers and MECs is administered by the province and not the National Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. I trust that the aforesaid is in order. However, should you need any further clarity or information regarding this matter, please feel free to contact the head of Prestige Branch, Mr. Mzwandile Sazona, at the below contact details.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So what I'm trying to say, Chair, is that yes, I've seen this letter just now over break. Remember, I've only served for 5 years as a minister at the national level, and throughout, I have served as an MEC and the premier in the province, as it is alluded on paragraph 2.
So I think that the one point you are making is you assumed that the state had taken care or had installed the CCTV camera and other security features in the house. That you don't know for sure. That's the assumption you made. And there's not much you can say about that other than what you have said.
Yes, and this letter does not dispute anything. It directs the commission to provincial government. Because at a time when I was the minister, the state never provided security for me.
Yes. Now, doesn't the letter come from a provincial department in Gauteng?
the letter is from the National Public Works, Chair.
Yes, okay.
Chair, can I also...
And the office of the premier, has it not been asked, and whatever other provincial department?
The provincial departments have said that they did not install security features in the...
Do you want to raise that with Ms. Mokonyane?
Ms. Mokonyane, the provincial
refer to any
departments.
correspondence?
And if you can go to bundle B. Chair, before we leave this, can we do some house exercise on this?
You want to
this
have
document,
that letter admitted?
can we admit this letter? And then what we propose, Chair, to do is to have it put on exhibit T20, T21, T20.1, we put it as page 18-1. So in T20,
Which bundle?
the bundle 2, Chair.
BOSASA bundle 2.
BOSASA bundle 2, and then it should go is page 18.1 dash 1, and then the following page will be 18-2.
Which one? 20.1.
Yeah, no, don't worry, we are
Okay.
just doing some house exercise. Sorry.
You want to put it as what exhibit?
Is in exhibit 20, T20.1,
20 or T20?
T20, sorry, T20.1, and then it should be page 18-1 and
But
18-2.
20.1 is something else.
Remember, 20.1, Chair, is the exhibit on bundle 2.
Remember, each letter that is not attached to an affidavit is an exhibit on its own.
Chair, our thinking was that if Chair were to turn to page 14, it's a request, page 14 is a request to Public Works for the information, and this letter is a response to that.
Yes. When are we going to intend to have these other letters put in as exhibits or not?
Beg your pardon, Chair.
Do you intend to have these other letters admitted as exhibits or not?
Chair, some of the letters.
So what?
The reason why I'm saying some of the letters is because on this issue, there were two letters to the lawyers of Mrs. Mokonyane,
Yeah.
but that issue has now been overtaken by
Give
the
me the
events.
letter. So what is the exhibit number you propose?
Chair, the last exhibit number on the BOSASA is the affidavit of Ms. Gina Peters, which is T29. Then this means that this will go then as exhibit T30. Should be as T30. Then -1 and then -2.
No, I think let me not admit it now. I think you may need just more time to see where and how it should be admitted at some stage, even after Ms. Mokonyane has finished giving evidence.
Yes.
I think you may need to
No,
get
we'll
time
appreciate
to
that, Chair.
organize
Yes.
things properly.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Ms. Mokonyane, just on this issue, before we go to where I want to refer you to.
Which one?
No, just a question. When you left, do you confirm that when you were testifying, you said you would give the commission details of the department that installed the CCTV and security issues at your place? Am I right?
Yes,
And you have never given that. Am I right?
I have submitted the list, the document to my, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, just start your answer afresh.
Yes, I'm saying all issues that are related to security. I had actually submitted them to my lawyers,
To your lawyer.
yes.
Okay.
And then all other issues that are related to our private services at home, I can also furnish, and I have actually sent a page of the maintenance company, the details of the maintenance company, as well as the company that deals with electricity and security in the house.
All right. Can you just tell the commission what details did you give your lawyers about the department that installed the CCTV at your place?
I gave the lawyers the details about the security services that are rendered through a Department of Infrastructure in the province through the Office of the Premier.
But Ms. Mokonyane, let's be specific. The evidence is this, that a CCTV was installed at your house by BOSASA. Do you dispute that? Are you saying that CCTV was not installed by BOSASA, but was installed by a government department? Is that your evidence?
My evidence is that I have no knowledge of a CCTV system that was installed by BOSASA in the house. I have on record information that says my husband and myself had a private security company that was responsible for installation of our security, including the fence in the yard.
So you are
I
not.
thought, I'm sorry. I thought that you said that as far as you are concerned, all security features in your house were installed by the state.
Yes.
But I seem now
But
to...
when I left Gauteng, Chair, government nationally didn't take responsibility of security at our homes.
Yes.
And that's why then you had to have your own private security company that must then provide the services. Because in terms of government, if you have at national, if you have an official residence, they do not actually provide to your private home.
Yes, but did you not say at some stage, both when you gave evidence previously and today, that it was the state that took care of all security features in your house? Did I misunderstand you, your evidence?
Yes, for a long time we didn't have to take responsibility because I was living at home and my home was also part of an official residence for me and the state took responsibility.
Yes. So are you therefore saying prior to the time when you became national minister, when you talk about that time before that, when you're in the province, all security features in your house were taken care of by the state?
Yes.
That was your understanding?
Yes.
You are not saying it as a fact, but
That-
that was your assumption?
That was my understanding and that was the fact because Chair, just now recently, about a few years back now, when I was in Pretoria, we had to again sort out our own security features because now the state could not actually maintain our services.
Yeah. But of course, whatever was installed wasn't removed.
Some of the things that were installed by the state we had to remove because they were old, some of their butlers. I don't know whether it was because of the quality. They actually ended up
Yeah.
rusting and collapsing. The access control had to actually be changed because of the load shedding.
So are you now saying, prior to you becoming a minister in the national government, the state took care of, as far as you knew, you are not stating it as a fact, as far as you knew, you thought the state had taken care of all security features in your house?
Yes.
But after you became minister in the national government, the state did not take care of security features in your
Yes.
house. You made your own private arrangements.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
But there are services that even before I left for national government, there were services like the maintenance of the house.
Yes.
The state didn't maintain our
Yes.
house. We maintained our home.
But do you concede that previously when you gave evidence, and maybe earlier this morning, you did not make this distinction to say what was the position before you became
I might
minister?
have not done that, yes.
Yeah, you might not have done
Yeah.
that. Okay. Put on your mind.
On what you have just said, Ms. Mokonyane, isn't that the sum total of your evidence today is that you can't dispute that BOSASA installed a CCTV at your house? You can't dispute that.
What,
Or can you?
what I can attest is that I know of the payments we have made to service providers who have been dealing with the security features in the house. That I know.
Yes.
That's the high water mark of your evidence.
I think from a legal point of view, we can accept that she can't dispute it.
Yes.
That's why she says she assumed.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm just effectively saying to Mr. Noche, Ms. Mokonyane, because I think he wants you to say, yes, you can't dispute it. But I think you are reluctant to say that. But what you are saying, and you have said it more than once, you assumed that it was the state which provided the security features. So I'm saying to him, that's enough to say you don't know for sure whether the state did provide or not. You made an assumption. So I meant that.
I was never given a list of what the state had stopped to do
Yeah,
and what the state had done. But what I
Yes.
know,
yeah,
once you move from the province, the state ceases to provide. And nationally also, there was no provision. We had to take responsibility on our side. Even
Yes.
when we were still here, there were things that we had to take responsibility for on our own. Yeah.
okay, all right. Mr. Noche.
Can I move on
Well,
to?
we had 4 minutes to 1.
Yes.
I had hoped that we would have finished by now, but I can't blame anybody because I too have been asking lots
No
of
problem.
questions. I'm suggesting that if possible we continue into the
Yeah.
lunch hour, and hopefully we can finish maybe not later than 1:30,
Yes,
so that
I'm-
we then adjourn for the day.
I'm also hopeful,
Is that
Chair,
fine,
that-
Ms. Mokonyane? Is that fine?
Yes, I am fine, Chairperson.
Yeah, and
Thank
your
you.
counsel indicates it's fine? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Now, Ms. Mokonyane, I started just this issue, and you were saying in 2013, at the time of your 50th birthday, you were working as the premier, am I right?
Yes.
And if I understand that the income, the total income at the
Now you
time,
want to make it public.
I beg your pardon?
You want to make it public?
Well, it has to be public.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Total income then
Well,
was,
it won't be new, because your salary and my salary is public,
Okay.
is
Okay.
public.
your total income then was 143,000 rand, 143,137 rand 56 cents. Will you dispute that?
Where do you read it from?
I beg your pardon.
Where do you read it from?
Turn to page do you have T20 dot
Which
one?
bundle? Start with the bundle
Yes,
first.
Bundle
T20
BOSASA
dot
2.
one, Yes,
I beg your
dot
pardon.
one, page,
Page 31.
page,
31. Page 31. It's a West Bank application form.
yeah,
Your total income is recorded as 143,137 dot 66, dot 56. Is that correct?
yes.
Now,
At that time,
at that time.
that
Now,
is what?
ma'am, this is
Which year was that?
2013.
Okay.
This is the year that you bought the Aston Martin, all right?
Yes,
And is it correct that the Aston Martin was 3,099,524 rand, 99 cents.
Yes,
Is it correct?
yes,
Is it correct that a deposit of 2,200,000 rand, 2,200,000 rand was paid as a deposit?
yes.
How did you afford to pay that amount of money as a deposit?
Thank you very much. The deposit, Chairperson, in fact, it was part of the discussions about, the thing that I'm saying, there's something significant about my 50 years. My husband has been doing some work, including trying to get contracts coming from your ESCOM and so forth, a case that we are still fighting now about the evergreen projects of ESCOM.
I think I remember last time you also mentioned.
Yes. And he had ventured into a very closed sector of business, which is the scrap from ESCOM and from Dinel and so on and so forth. He had people that were actually mentoring and supporting him. And these were people who were coaching him, and they could see that things were coming okay, that this is going to be a good business, and it stands a good chance of growing. And so in our own understanding of why my 50th is very important, we then said, we discussed, and one of the things that we agreed on was we need something that I think I would be happy with. And he will work with me to make sure that I get it. And we then had discussions. We then had a family friend, who then, because of seeing what is coming through on the project that I'm saying until today, and I still believe that these are some of the real issues about real capture in ESCOM. We're still in court with my husband dead. We still have to pay lawyers because we're fighting that lucrative contract. He then made arrangements with the friends who are not doing business with government, who don't do business with government, and they were able then to make this assistance, which in return, they were going to be part of his partnership on the work of the contract, the ESCOM contract. So that's how that deposit was made. But the important thing that I insisted on was that I would want to make direct contributions myself as well. So I made that contribution as well. And I must say, we're a family that has got friends that understood our pains of always being deprived of opportunities. And like I'm saying, this ESCOM issue was almost on the table. It was a done deal. And unfortunately, until today, people at ESCOM actually made sure that it remains with those that have been doing that job for over 25 years. So these guys then, with all this pressure of me turning 50 and so forth, we had a meeting, all of us, and he then said, look, do this thing, and Mokhaitu, that's how he used to call me, she will also make contributions towards that. And that was it. And I did make my own contributions, because I also have a pride of myself to actually own up to this thing.
So you're saying the 2 million was paid by someone else?
It was not paid by someone else. It was a contribution that was done precisely because at that time, Serge was going to get this contract from, what do you call it, from ESCOM. And there was a dispute, and he was actually taking them to court. And there was that arrangement of saying, when this contract is coming through, they were all going to be party. Actually, there are three. One of them has passed on, and the other two, and actually two now have passed on. My husband and the other partner, as well as the other person who's still alive.
Who paid the 2 million?
It is,
I'm sorry, before that, what was the price of the car at the time?
it was 3,
It was 3 million.
yes.
Okay, all right. Continue, Mr. Nocha.
Who paid the 2,200,000?
It was our family friend, Taba.
Okay, I didn't get the name.
It was our family friend, Taba.
Sure, he has a surname.
Oh, it was Taba Mufamadi.
So it was a loan, I want to understand, it was a loan to your husband.
It was a business arrangement to say, look, we want to enter the space and you are into it and I'm battling to get these guys. I'm being taken from pillar to post. And then they then said, look, we can assist you because we can see that you have this, bid that you have made and you are part of the what is it? The only few black-owned companies that are doing business in the space. So you stand a good chance and with your infrastructure and everything. And they made that arrangement.
And so they were, Mr. Mufumadi was going to get his money back once your husband's business had matured and there was money in it, am I right?
Yes, they were going to make that arrangement themselves. Those were the three gentlemen who had made that arrangement amongst themselves.
So you and your husband's estate owe Mr. Mafumadi 2.2 million, is that correct?
My take is that if we get through that ESCOM deal, finally, surely they would also be invited to be part of it as it was an arrangement.
And if you do not get the deal, you will owe Mr. Mafumadi either you owe Mr. Mafumadi or it's a gift, 2.2 million.
No, we will have to pay him. We will have to pay him if this thing doesn't go anywhere, which I think it will be so unfair. It will be so unfair because it was a lucrative, you could see how he has been shortchanged in the bid at ESCOM.
And are you able to refer the commission to some documents of this agreement between your husband and Mr. Mafumadi over 2.2 million? I'm sure there must be. I mean, it's a lot of money even in my...
I wouldn't have that document. I know, that's why I'm saying I know there were three. It was Eddie, it was Serge, it was Taba.
Now, you said you also contributed some money.
Yes.
How much did you contribute?
I paid almost 900, 800.
Is that the money you were paying in installments?
Yes, I paid the bank in installments.
Yes. And this is what I referred to on page 31. Was that your application for payment of the remainder after the deposit had been paid? Am I correct?
Yes.
And then if you go over the page, on page 32, it demonstrates how much you were to pay, which was 885 rand 71 cents. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you just tell the commission this? You know the attorneys, the clerk of Mandelstam Incorporated,
Yes, I know that.
and they were assisting you.
Yes, they facilitated.
Okay. Did you tell them about this agreement between you, your husband, and Mr. Mafumadi?
They were the ones who were talking to them, yes.
They were the ones who were talking to them.
The three guys were the ones who were talking to
To the attorneys.
Yes.
And you don't know what they told the attorneys?
What I know they told the attorneys was that they must facilitate this access to the bank.
Sorry, don't speak away
Oh,
from
sorry,
the microphone.
that
yeah.
they must facilitate access to this loan because this is intended to be a birthday gift for myself and that the arrangements then will be made directly on my account for further payments.
Now, the reason I'm asking you this is that if you turn to page 65 of the same record, this is the letter dated the 21st of July 2020. It's from the attorneys, de Klerk Mandelstam Incorporated, is to the Commission. This letter is a result of a request for information from your attorneys. Now, on page 66 of this bundle, paragraph 3.2 of the letter, and where he was asked directly about this 2.2 million, and he says the following: our bank statements show that the payments were made from the account of Mr. T.A. Mufumadi. The source of his funds were from legitimate sale of property interests. This seems to differ from what you have just told the Commission about the source of this 2.2 million.
But I've just mentioned the name.
No, but the letter,
I'm not sure if it necessarily differs.
the letter says the source of the funds were from a sale of property interests.
Of Mr. Mufumadi.
Yes.
Yes.
But what you're telling the court is the money was in advance given to your husband because his business was going to grow and then he's going to repay it. It doesn't say it was a loan to your husband.
Well, you are combining two issues, Mr. Noche, I think. As I understand Ms. Mokonyane's evidence, she hasn't told me where Mr. Mufumadi and whoever else were going to get their money from, What she has said is her husband and Mr. Mufumadi and somebody else, I think you said Eddie, they discussed. And the arrangement, as I understand it, and Ms. Mokonyane must tell me if I misunderstood you, as I understand it, Mr. Mokonyane wanted to give his wife a birthday gift. And there was this business that seemed to be promising that he was onto at ESCOM or with ESCOM.
Yes.
And he spoke to them on the basis that if they made money available, which would enable him, I guess, to buy Ms. Mokonyane this birthday gift, then he would allow them into this business that seemed to be promising in due course. Is that right?
Yes.
That's how you
Yes.
explained it, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm saying my understanding is she had not yet said where Mr. Mufumadi and whoever were going to get the cash from.
No, look, I take your point. I take the point that the letter seems to be explaining the source of Mr. Mufumadi's funds. Yes. And you, as you're testifying, you do not know the source of Mr. Mufumadi's fund. Is that correct, Mrs. Mokonyane?
No, I wouldn't know.
Yes. But Ms. Mokonyane, you also confirm that at your salary, at that stage, you wouldn't afford to pay a deposit of 2,200,000 rand.
I didn't pay it, yes.
You wouldn't afford to do that.
No.
What kind of facilitation were the attorneys supposed to do
I don't bank with West Bank.
Yeah,
So I needed a facility that I can use to pay from my salary, the vehicle that, the vehicle that I was going to acquire. And what then we did was to then get the lawyer to do the applications on my behalf and facilitate and get and link up with the bank, between the bank and the dealer shop, and that was all.
it's just that it seems strange to me. I thought when people want such an arrangement with West Bank or whoever, they just walk into West Bank or phone them and fill in whatever forms and say, this
Sometimes
is
you
what I
get-
can afford,
yes,
rather than go to an
yes.
attorney.
Sometimes you get somebody who is a broker, who can assist you.
Yes, a broker.
Yes,
yeah,
because he's part of that, yes.
yeah. It's just that one, at least it's not usual for me to
Okay.
see attorneys coming into their space.
You can get a broker to assist you to get something through.
Yeah.
And they will then do it, and finally, it's
Yeah.
your signature and it's your finances that
Yeah.
then
Mr.
get
Notsha.
through.
Chair, can I, before I just leave this issue, that the documents I've referred to, and which I would like to have them admitted as evidence, but with the problem I have with can I just indicate to you what documents are those that we will?
Well, you might not need to indicate that. What we might need to do is maybe one of the days before we start with a day's witness, you come in so that you place on record what you would like to be done.
No, that's fine.
I
Chair.
think so that it would be on record.
No, that's fine. Then before we conclude.
Can I also find out, Chair,
Yes,
just from you, and just for my own interest,
yeah.
the basis of getting into the space? I thought I was here on the BOSASA matters.
Yes,
And I know that somebody from BOSASA, when they went to my house, they came across the car.
yes.
Is it that created the curiosity?
Well, I'll allow Mr. Notsha to say something on that.
Yes. Chair and Mrs. Mokonyane, you'll remember Mr. Agrizi said you were paid sums of money, cash, by Kevin Watson. You remember?
Okay,
And now you have a car which is more than 3 million rand,
okay.
and there's a deposit of 2 million rand. We needed to investigate where you got the money from.
And you got the information where it comes from?
I beg your pardon?
You did get the information, you did get the response as to where it came from?
So I'm explaining to you why we had to investigate this. There's money that you received cash, it is alleged you received cash. Now, all of a sudden, you are living beyond your means. We had to find out, how did you manage to buy, not that I'm jealous, you have a,
No, I've never said you are jealous. I just wanted to know what was.
How it came about.
yes.
Yeah,
But you understand, that is why we had to follow up this.
Nyaguso.
Now, just this, I want to be part of the record. Can we just go through it, Ms. Mokonyane, just to confirm certain things? You see on page 31, it's a West Bank application notice,
Page,
31.
yes, sir.
And then over the page, it's the application notice where it sets out on page 32, the price of the car, the deposit, and the installments that are to be
On
paid.
page 32.
And then it goes to page 33, is all right? And then also page 34. Then page 35 is the registration details of your vehicle.
Of there?
And then page 37 is document from financial services. And then we can leave that and then go to page 65. '65 to 71 is the letter from DKM attorneys. You see that? Ms. Mokonyane, I'm not going to ask questions about it. All I want is just to see there is this on record, and then I'm going to ask the chair to admit these documents, and then we'll give them a number. That's all I'm referring to. Chair, then there's one last issue. I'm not sure whether we need to deal with it, but we have dealt with it. I think we resolved it. It was the issue, Mr. Mokonyane, of Mr. Van Billion. Remember, we were saying there's a Mr. Van Billion who was requested by, who was engaged by BOSASA to do repairs at your house. He then employed Charles Leroux, and then he wanted to see the affidavit of Mr. Van Billion. But I don't think that issue features.
Well, no. We promised her we would find the affidavit. She wanted to see Mr. Billion's affidavit. I think if we do have Mr. Billion's affidavit, let's find it. Let her see it. If we don't have it here because there was no plan to ask questions about it, then maybe my question can be sent to her in writing and she can respond by way of an affidavit.
Chair, we do have the...
You do have?
Yeah, but unfortunately we don't have it for you.
Oh, well, maybe if you give it to me then, because I was the one who asked the question, if I get your one, Registrar.
Oh, my junior says that.
Is there one for the, or there would be none for the witness?
No, there is one.
Oh.
So we're going to look at item 14 then, 1.4.
Have you found it under page 18, black numbers on the top left corner? Ms. Mokonyane? Have you found the affidavit of Mr. Billion? At page 18, if you look at the black numbers at the top left corner?
Yes.
You found it?
Yes, I've got it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, all right. I think just pull the mic closer to you. Yeah. Now, the question of his affidavit came up when I was referring you to the fact that he or his company had done certain jobs at your house. I'm just going to have a look here. At page 19, at the bottom, there's a heading that says work performed at Minister Mokonyane's residence. And then he says, I read from paragraph 7, I recall that I performed work at house number, I'm not saying the address, the Commission's investigation team has provided me with photographs of a house, that's fine. 9, in addition, I've been provided with a deeds office. Number 10, I've been informed by the Commission's investigation team. All right, 11, I was unaware that the house, blah, blah, blah. 12, on one occasion, I was called to the house one evening to attend to the backup power system. The generator system would not start and met surge. He was a friendly guy, but he did not mention his surname and did not mention his wife's position. 13, on most occasions, Mr. Leroux met me on site. He gives the address, and he showed me what needed to be done. I think in all of the time that I did work at this site, there was possibly 2 occasions when I went to the site without Mr. Leroux being present. 14 below is a list of some of the things I recall doing at the house. 14.1, repaired and reprogrammed the generator changeover. 14.2, replaced the distribution board for the swimming pool. 14.3, replaced the outside stack lights leading to the house. 14.4, repaired the electric fence. 14.5, called out to repair the air conditioning system one night. 14.6, called out to repair the generator one night. And 14.7, replaced and rewired some of the water fissures. And then 15.1, I would estimate that I went to the site to perform work there on approximately 10 occasions. 16.1, I've searched for and located certain quotations and invoices for work performed at, he gives the address, and have managed to locate the following. And then he quotes invoices there and what was done and the amounts. And I think Mr. Charles Leroux in his affidavit may be mentioning other things as well. But the point I wanted to make at the time when I raised this was that you had, as I understood it, you had denied that BOSASA or anybody sent by BOSASA had done any work in your house. But the commission then obtained this information, I think, after you had filed your first affidavit. And then when this was placed before you, ultimately you had to say you can't dispute that they did it, but what you say is you did not ask them.
Chair, I said I never asked for any services to be done by BOSASA.
Yes.
And it is not in my knowledge that they've come and done all this work.
Yeah.
I do have the professional maintenance company,
Yes.
as well as an electrical and security company
Yes.
that provides the services.
Yes.
That's what I said.
Yes.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. But I think in the end, towards the end, as I understand it, you did say you are not disputing all these invoices and what they say. What you are saying is, what you were saying is your late husband was responsible for maintenance issues in the house, and you never requested any, you didn't request BOSASA or anybody sent by BOSASA to do any such
never
work in
did,
your
yes.
house. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Mokonyane.
Those are my questions.
Those are your questions. Counsel for Ms. Mokonyane, is there any re-examination? No, okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Mokonyane, for coming to clarify certain matters. I will now excuse you, but thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We are going to adjourn for the day, and tomorrow the commission will hear evidence from Mr. Vincent Smith.
Yes, Chair.
We adjourn.
Mina